Just because someone loves God does not mean they are assigned to you. If you feel like you can't be yourself in a friendship, that is a clear sign of the friendship. It's not healthy. Hey guys, it's your girl Khash, and welcome to the Girl Let Me Tell You podcast. This is a space where we have real conversations about life, relationships, healing, and purpose, all through a God centered lens. From marriage to friendships to motherhood to becoming the woman God has called you to be, nothing is off limits here. So if you're on a journey of healing, growth, and becoming, you're in the right place. So whether you're driving, winding down at the end of your day, or just taking a moment for yourself, this is something you can sit with. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Girl Let Me Tell You podcast. This is episode 7, and today we're talking about covenant friendships and why the right community matters. So, I'm going to say something that might be a little uncomfortable because I've been there, where I've met someone and we've connected the first conversation, and you're talking about God and how much we love God, and all of a sudden, you realize the relationship is a little off towards after knowing them for some time. But then you think back and you're like, okay, I get it. Just because someone loves God does not mean they are assigned to you. And that was something I had to learn because I often think that people assume because someone is a Christian that someone prays or that they love God, that they must be good for us. But that's not always true because I've had friendships with people who claim to love God and God still removed me, right? That's the part that was a little confusing for me because if you don't understand what God is doing, you'll be confused. And I was because I didn't know what God was doing at the time. So let's talk about it. So I was in a friendship for a few years with someone, and we were close. Our families were close. Our kids were around each other often. We were doing life together, right? We traveled, we did family vacations, we did so many things together. And from the outside, it didn't look unhealthy, but as I continued to grow, especially in the things of God, and the Lord started to open up my eyes, He showed me things I did not see before in the relationship with myself and this young lady. I saw so much control, manipulation, a lot of unhealthy patterns, and if I'm being honest, there was a lack of accountability in most discussions whenever we did have any type of friction. And when I expressed how I felt, nothing really changed. But when it came to me, I was expected to make adjustments, and in the past, in the earlier part of our friendship, it was a lot of stubbornness on both of our parts, especially me too, because I wasn't in the things of God. I wasn't really walking the real walk with God. I was very stubborn. I was prideful. I was bitter. I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to hear the drama. So, but later on, when we did have our disconnect, it was different. I was a lot more mature. The pride was broken off. I was able to see. The Lord opened up my eyes, so I was able to see both sides. And I remember she called me one day and she said, this was after like maybe a week of not speaking. And she was like, you don't reach out. I'm always the one initiating. And I said, you know what? You're right. And it's true. She was absolutely 100% correct. I was not reaching out as much towards the later part of our friendship. I started to feel a little disconnected. But nevertheless, when she reached out and said that, I said, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. And I said, what can I do to better that situation? So that was me. That was her. Um, telling me about myself. But when I told her about herself, I got crickets. I got nothing, nothing from her. So, if I'm being real, one of the reasons why I did pull back towards the end of our friendship was because I felt like I was always walking on eggshells. The conversations just did not feel safe anymore. They were very, didn't feel light. They felt, it didn't feel genuine. So I was pulling back, and that was my natural way of just not creating much friction. So what I realized back then was, if you feel like you can't be yourself in a friendship, that is a clear sign of the friendship. It's not healthy. And at that moment, I believe that God was doing something. He was preparing for a shift in some way, shape, or form. So he began to isolate me. I felt there was a separation coming, not because, one was doing better than the other. No, but I believe that our assignment in that season and the seasons to come was just different. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was so hurt. I was confused. I was lonely because that was my friend. I thought that was my friend. And that was my friend that I went to for everything about the things of God. Because in the past, I didn't have anyone else. Everyone else was a little more not developed in the things of God. And this young lady, she was very smart, very bright in the things of God. So I spoke to her often about God. So God, what he did was isolate me and started to align me to a different crowd, a different type of friendship. And it's funny because today I was supposed to record this episode early in the morning while my kids and my husband, they were sleeping, but my kids woke up early. So I told my husband, I said, you know what, get some more sleep. I'll take the kids and we will do laundry and do things around the house while he gets a couple hours of sleep, and then I'll just record later on when you take the kids, and you'll take the kids, and we'll just switch off or whatever. So I didn't find it funny that how timely that I started preparing to record this episode, and I started to listen to Facebook Live, a Facebook broadcast with Apostle Gregory Jefferson. I don't know if you guys know him, but please hop on his Facebook, his TikTok. Him and his wife Manolia, they have a powerful ministry where they are just working for the kingdom and doing the things of God. So I was tuning in to his broadcast, and you will not believe what the topic of the message was. If I tell you, you're gonna laugh. This message confirmed exactly what I was already feeling about godly connections. The message is about godly connections. So Apostle Gregory Jefferson, he was talking about, he referenced Luke 18 about the blind man and how there were people around him. Some were trying to silence him, but others helped position him to get to Jesus. And that really hit me because what I've noticed, and it confirmed, not everybody around you, because everybody around you is not assigned to push you forward, right? Some people, they will silence your growth. They will silence your voice, silence your calling. But the right people, they will position you. My God, they'll push you closer to God, not further away from God. That is how you have to discern who is helping you grow and who is trying to quiet what God is doing in you. That message right there, I was on fire. It just stirred me up to come into this room and start recording because it was so in alignment. So, and in that season, right? That's when, like I said, God started aligning me to the right people, and one of those people was Candace. And Candace and I, what we were building was completely different. It was so natural. It flowed. It was genuine. I mean, we prayed together. We were fasting together. We were growing together. There was no competition. There was no defensiveness. I never had to question her intentions at all. Not one bit. And that's when I understood, after meeting this beautiful woman of God, that what the difference really is between friendship and covenant. A covenant friend prays for you for real. They cover you, they hold you accountable, they support you. There's no defensiveness when correction comes because they are mature. In Proverbs, it says, iron sharpens iron. That type of friendship is a destiny connector. Not convenience. It's you don't have these dry conversations that don't go anywhere. It's literally you sharpening each other. My God. And let's face it, I've experienced the opposite of that as well. So that is why I'm able to compare the two, because I've had people say, I've had friends people that I call friends say, "Girl, I'll pray for you." And deep down, I just knew they weren't praying. I just knew they weren't praying because their lifestyles didn't reflect it. And I'm not here to label anyone, but I will say this. Some friendships revolve around one person. There's control, there's defensiveness, there's lack of accountability, and over time you realize it's not mutual. Covenant friendships pour both ways, right? You're not drained. You're not doing all the work. This person is aware of your gifts. This person is aware of your anointings. This person knows when to step in, when to step back because they've studied you. They've gotten word from Holy Spirit. They know when your spirit is weak. They know when your spirit is strong. They know when to say, "Girl, let me pray for you. Let me lift up your family in prayer," without you even having to ask. My God. I believe everyone should have covenant friends. Everyone, but you have to be a covenant friend as well. So I've experienced this in a lot of different ways, right? When I started removing access in other friendships, things I've noticed the shift, right? The moment that you change access, the connection changes, right? And you could pinpoint, all right, who was really there to be down for you and support you and all those things. But the minute that you switch up that access, things change drastically. And that showed me something. It wasn't always rooted in growth, it was rooted in access. And when I stepped back, I saw everything clearly. There wasn't real growth happening. It was sometimes people mimic you, but they don't want to transform. They don't literally transform. They say, "Oh, I'm reading my Bible, I'm praying more, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And eventually you see them back with the same people that they told you that they didn't want to be friends with anymore because you stepped back and you gave them space and you saw how they really showed up, which is weird, right? Because you see those same patterns come back. And I'm like, who were you? Who are you? I thought you were changing your lifestyle. I thought that that was happening. You cannot force godly friendships. And I learned that because I had the tendency to do that. When people start hanging around me, they they kind of mimic or they see what I'm doing and they want to do it too. And sometimes I tend to try to help people too much, although you're trying to push them to be their best, but they have to actually want to do it. So, yeah, I agree. You cannot force a godly friendship, it has to be natural. It really does. So, let's talk about some self reflection, right? I want to flow right into self reflection and say that, you know, everybody wants good friends, but are you a good friend? Because I've seen people pour and get nothing back. They don't have the capacity to carry you. And that's when you know it's not covenant. Because when the Lord brings you covenant friends, they're going to be able to pour back into you. So you're no longer just pouring, 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 and pouring and not getting anything in return. So looking back, I can say I could see God's hand in every season of my life. He was definitely shifting, he was removing, he was opening different doors. He was just doing what needed to be done, and I did not want to stand in his way. I told the Lord, I will be obedient. If you're shifting, go ahead. I wasn't trying to save any friendships anymore. I allowed him to do what needed to be done. And when I sat back and I allowed God to do what he did, I saw fruit. So I'm going to leave you guys with some takeaways because this right here hit home because it was a season not too long ago. So it was very fresh. And if you're in a place where friendships are shifting, I'm going to leave you with some things that I had to learn the hard way. And the first takeaway is not every friendship is meant to last. Some people are seasonal. Number 2, everybody cannot have access to you. Protect your space. The next one is covenant friends cover you, not just words, real actions. Number 4, don't fight isolation. God is preparing you during that season. It's lonely, but He is really preparing you. Last but not least, be the friend you're asking for. This is something that I had to learn because I wasn't always the friend that I was asking for. But when the Lord healed me, when He delivered me and showed me who I was, I have the capacity now to expect what I give out. So I want to close off and I want to say if you don't remember anything else from this episode, please know God is not removing people to hurt you. He's aligning you for where you're going. He is shifting, He is replacing with better people. He is going to replace the people that you lost with better people. Guys, this wraps up today's episode. I pray this conversation gave you clarity, conviction, and comfort. If this blessed you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to another woman who needs it. It's your girl, Khash. And remember, restoration looks good on you. I'll see you in the next episode.